All right, all right. Well. You know what time it is. Monday night, open court discussions. And like Jalen Rose and Jacoby said, we're here to give people what they want. For months and months, we've been hearing, oh, we want to hear some male perspectives. Um, it's always just you and her. Why don't any other guys come on? And we said, we can't help that they don't come on. So tonight, Herb been telling y'all in advance, gave y'all due process that he's going to bring a couple of guys on other than the controversial counselor and the big bad wolf's perspectives. You're going to hear other guys' perspectives. So let me just read the intro. Then I'm going to pass the baton over to Herb, and he's going to bring in a couple guys, and we're going to chop it up tonight. So let me get this going. So public discussion of contentious topics is often taboo in America, particularly those such as racism, systemic racism, police misconduct or abuse, single motherhood, as well as many others. It is often these topics that are pushed aside when they should be discussed often and openly. We always talk about people sweeping stuff under the rug. To not do so leaves the uninformed ignorant and the willing learn unlearned. Both stymie growth and understanding. If this is something that is believed to be a problem, then it has to be understood, not just from the female perspective, but the male as well. So tonight, Herb's going to have several male panelists in the counselor's corner as we ride the third rail and engage in why some men are opting out of dating single mothers. And please share the video, like the video, and to also subscribe to the controversial counselor, my controversial counselor channel on YouTube. So, man, I've been interested topic, Herb, man, why some males are kind of opting out. And sometimes I think about that subject like, actually, I overheard somebody say today, like, is there really an option for some men to opt out? Like, everybody has kids. Everybody has kids at a certain age. So why would a man opt out? And that kind of limits his opportunity for a potential mate. So I don't know. I don't know, whatever. I'm interested to find out some other perspectives. But I know over the years, you always said a certain percentage of men don't have kids. And I guess sometimes we get caught up where we're from and say, yeah, mostly everybody got kids this age, 3, 4, got grandchildren and all that stuff. So you automatically assume. But there are some men out there who don't have kids, or they may just have one kid, they may be grown, and they say, well, I'm not about to be dealing with a certain age group because my kid is in college, they're doing whatever, so they're not a hindrance to me. So, man, I'm just waiting. Can't wait to hear what everybody else got to say. We're going to have an opportunity for some women to come in, but I'm going to pass it over to you, Herb, and I'm going to invite a couple of the panelists in right now.
Yeah, this is it's for a lot of people it can be a sore topic, and I understand it, and we're not speaking. So we're here to get some information.
Can't hardly hear you.
Can you hear me?
You sound real low and faint.
What about now?
A little better.
The position for a lot of people is that we're here to bash, and that's not what we're here to do. We're here to give the uninformed the information falling into the situation that they can prevent their daughters, nieces, or other females from replicating this situation. Because believe it or not, this is a scourge, and it's a bigger scourge for Black America because we have an inordinate amount of children that are born to single mother homes. And this is not to say that single mothers can't raise children. They raise the children, but the children are incomplete adults. And it's like the old adage, it's easier to raise strong boys than it is to repair broken men. And so often, when these men get to be of age, they replicate what they know because that's all they know. So we just want to avoid that. And I do have a series of questions, but I'll let the panel members introduce themselves as they start to file in. Go, gentlemen, are you ready?
Hello.
Go ahead, introduce yourself, gentlemen.
Hey, I'm Doug Wilson, DPR.
Next individual.
And I'm Brother Hondo Solomon.
And the last remaining gentleman.
Wow. Finally got a chance to see you in person. Brother Hondo Solomon, everybody, this is Gavin Sinclair.
All right. We're just for people that are unaware, most of us, well, I'm Facebook friends with the other three, actually all the gentlemen on the post. So we're actually really just now getting to meet each other. So you pardon us while we get to meet each other in person and actually speak to each other on this panel. So we're getting, usually our communications are just text. So we're actually putting voices and faces together. And so for us, it's really, it's a watershed moment that these brothers are actually getting together to be able to have this type of exchange and this type of meeting. So pardon us if, things are a little unchoppy or unfamiliar. I have a list of 6 questions that I'm going to start to post to the panel, and you gentlemen can answer these questions however you choose, okay? The first one, question number 1 is, what compelled or made you adapt this stance on not dating single mothers? And gentlemen, you take that in the order you want to.
I guess I'd like to answer it first. I'm gonna try to make it brief because it's a very loaded question. It's a good question, but it's loaded. My stance is this: in light of the fact that my main teachings are on polygamy, I tend to have a little bit more of a bit more balanced view, in that historically, single motherhood has always been seen as a pariah within a community and a nation. Okay, so once you devolve into having a majority of single women being single mothers, that's a sign that your nation is crumbling and actually is on its way out the door. And generally behind the scenes, that country is being taken over by a patriarchal dominant country. We have to understand that this is historically accurate. Like every time you go, I can point to every island in the Caribbean, for example, where even though you have long-term relationships, even though you have even polygamy, you have a lot of women who are unwed mothers. And what ends up happening is you lack proper order and structure within your society. You also have decreased ingenuity. Means you have less invention coming out of that land and those people. You also see, and this is a major thing, once I studied, of course, studying polygamy, you have to get into sexuality. You also have to get into, things like you're studying why children go missing. You're studying why human trafficking exists. And what you find is that in those nations where there are either soft patriarchies or matriarchies or even gynocracies, you see more human trafficking, especially child sex trafficking. Single motherhood is very pedophilic. Okay, so when you compare two parent married households specifically, you compare them with single mother led households and then single father led households. Single mother led households have the highest rate of childhood sexual molestation that occurs while the child is under mother custody. And we're talking about whether it's under civic law, civic order or not. So that once I saw these things in my research on polygamy and traditional family systems, I started looking into why should we speak out against single motherhood? So the women who are widows, they deserve mercy. We should not speak out against women who are widows. And that's only after a potential male mate has vetted the cause of death for the father of the child. In other words, we want to make sure there was no foul play involved, because these things do occur. We want to make sure that even if he did die under, say, natural circumstances or through accident or injury or disease, we want to make sure that the story that we were given has been vetted by multiple witnesses. But I could go on, but I want to hear what the other brothers got to say. I'm gonna stop right there.
Hey,
Go ahead, Gavin, if you want.
I'll go next. That was well said, very well said. I like how you stuck to the statistics and facts like that. I want to take a more pragmatic approach, and simply because a single mother, they go into a kind of a survival mode. Like they are all about their children. So me as a man, as a single, well, I'm not a single man. I'm actually married. I got my own kids, everything like that. But taking the stance of a single man who wants to build their own family up, when you come to a single mother, she's going to have a list of priorities. She's going to be priority number one, her. She needs to take care of herself, and then her children, and then her baby daddy is going to be somewhere pretty close to the top, simply because she has chosen to bring the child of that man to the world. That's a huge deal, and I think that's being downplayed a lot these days. But bringing a child to the world, that's huge. So if a woman decides to bring a child or man to the world, that's not an accident. You know, pregnancies are accidents. Pregnancies are accidents between men and women. But a birth, that's completely the mother wanting that child to come into play. So when you are a single man wanting to build your own family, you come up on a single mother, you have to realize that you're not going to be able to build a foundation being high on that priority list at all. It's just not possible. And if it is possible, there's a good chance that there's some kind of trauma wrong with her. She's neglecting her children. And so if she's someone that's neglecting her children, well then why would you trust her with your own children? So it's that whole paradox right there. So that's just how I come at it from if being a single man, and if I ran into single mothers. It's just you're not going to be high on the priority list. You're never going to be high on the priority list. So whenever you see the "oh, you're not my dad" type of thing, and the mother doesn't when you're trying to discipline them, and the mother is like, "oh no, don't that's not your kid" type of thing. That's where you're going to be. And it's just not a good deal for a man. And these are good single mothers. Like nobody's saying that single mothers aren't good people. And the single mothers that are great mothers, those are the ones you have to worry about even more. Being a single mother, wanting to build your own family. So that's pretty much all what I have to say about it.
Thanks for sharing.
So let me try this again. The first question is why my experience of why I don't date single mothers, correct? Herb?
Yes, to adopt stance. I'm not wanting to date a single mother.
Okay, you went muted just now. I couldn't hear you. You're not clear.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's muffled for some reason. The audio is muffled.
Herb, you got to get you an earpiece or something, man. Some headphones.
I just put the earpiece in, so I'm trying to figure out what it might be.
Because coming in, you were clear. I don't know why you just went kind of like Charlie Brown's
Can you
teacher.
hear me now?
I can hear you. Line is clear, but I don't know what happened. All right. Anyway, so why I would not date a single mother, is that the question, correct?
Pretty much,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. All right. From experience, I've dated single mothers, and it's been from that experience why. Okay, it's from that experience why I won't keep her as my main focus, whereby I would make her my wife, but she's just something temporary. Why? From my experience, two main experiences. One, I had an ex-girlfriend. She was a single mom, but she was not raising her child, who was a boy, a son. Her baby daddy's mama was raising the boy. And she was divorced. And her ex-husband was not the baby daddy. Whoa. I also saw the generational butt fucked because I met my girlfriend's mother at the time. My girlfriend's mother did not raise her daughter. Her mother raised her daughter. And I saw the relationship. They more acted like sisters than mother and daughter. I even came on one time I went because my girlfriend at one point during our relationship, she was living with her grandmother, and then she moved in with her cousin. At the time when she was living with her grandmother, I went over to visit, and there was an argument between grandma and mom. And grandmother checked mother saying, "No, you don't talk to Tanya that way because I raised her." I was like, holy shit. And you know how black women are. That was a discussion I did not want to witness. I said, "Baby, I'm out. Peace." She understood. She just nodded her head and knew, get the fuck out of Dodge because you're not about to want to see what's about to go down. Long story short, there were other things why we broke up, but I was like, wow. Next experience, I would say was my last serious relationship, single mother. This woman, this female, again, she also had a son. The boy could pass. He was that light skinned. I mean, lighter than Steph Curry. She raised him, and I live in Los Angeles. She raised him in a city called Pasadena, which is, there's not too much of us there. She put him in a private school, and the boy was, and this was when he was in, let me see. Okay, he was like 14, 15 years old. So he's in high school. Private school, he's the quarterback on the football team and the point guard on the basketball team during basketball season. Long story short, that little boy got his nigger wake-up call. He got jumped one time at school by some white boys. He had to protect himself. He gets called into the administrator's office. They're about to, suspend him from school, but the other boys weren't. She had to do what she had to do, yada, yada, yada. But then I had to explain to her, "Babe, took a long time coming, but your son just got his nigga wake-up call, and this is just the beginning of his life. Stuff like this is going to happen to him." She got angry with me for saying that, and she said, "No, no, 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 no." I mean, that pretty much changed. That was the pivotal point in our relationship because she just did not want to hear it. It's like she was trying to shelter the boy. So for me, regarding single mothers, they just have that straight set mindset. Their way or the highway, they don't want to listen or hear anything else to the detriment of their own kid. That's my experience, and that's my choice. That's why I don't date them to that extent.
Next individual. Or did everyone answer?
We had a couple new people
I
come
believe we
on.
just had two more people.
I just came in here. I just came in. Good evening.
Okay, no, that's fine. We're just getting through the first question. And the question is, what compelled you to adopt your stance on not wanting to date a single mother?
Well, first of all, I'm from Canada still. So I heard this gentleman before me said you're from Los Angeles, correct?
Well, I was born and raised in New York, but I live in LA now. I moved to LA in '99, but I'm born and raised in New York.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because whenever we're going into something, it's always good to take in demographics as well, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So I know Canada, we're on a smaller spectrum, and I don't want to go too deep, but I was raised by single mothers as well, right? So even from a different perspective, my mother was a single mother, but my mother was a single mother by choice. Right, my mother, she married. My background is Jamaican, and I hear a lot of bad rep about Jamaican black men always leaving children around. But my father was a good working man and everything, and helped my mother. But that wasn't good enough. And in regards to she came down here, went to school, got educated, and she left my father and alienated me from him. From that perspective, you see what I'm saying? And when I was 12, she died of cancer. And her aunts, her sisters, they stole, I'm trying to use the most soft language I can to not make it seem like, but this is the fact I want to take in another aspect of single motherhood too. When my mother died, I didn't have any protection from that aspect. You understand what I'm saying? As a child, being vulnerable. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when that happened now, yeah, basically, what's done is done, but things could have been different if my father wasn't pushed out, and just even from that aspect as well, from the children aspect. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to use my situation as the thing, but this is I think a valid for, my father became a widower technically as a result.
Right.
Of my mother passing, and she divorced him before that, and then that took the wealth away from the family and mashed it up, and then also left me vulnerable now because she pushed my father out. She's gone, and it's by the glory of that. We're protected by nature, and certain things go away. We're alive today. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just not a standpoint, but a story that I can share of a result of single motherhood by choice.
Right. That's right.
And so often, and that's one of the things that Brother Honda was just talking about, is the lack of protection that a lot of kids in single mother led households don't have. And the next question I have is, Gavin has already touched on this. Gavin has already touched on this, and I've had my own experiences with single mothers. So, often when I talk about it, I really don't reveal those aspects.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is Yada Ben Israel, y'all. How y'all doing?
Go Yada. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead, man.
I don't have. Yeah, I ain't got the fancy, picture of myself up there. I have an avatar, but it's all good. Shalom and greetings to everyone on the panel this evening. First of all, brother David, you and we've never met, but thank you for allowing me to be on this panel. Herb, we talk a lot on Facebook, and thank you for inviting me here. Brother Hondo, as usual, it's good to see you. I don't know who else is here. I see the brothers. I don't see you all's name. Forgive me. This is my first time on this platform, so I don't.
Same here. Me as well.
That's okay. You all right, man? We're all getting familiar with each other.
Yeah, and I'm trying to learn how to navigate this thing. I was a little late because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it's all good. I'm here. Yeah.
Appreciate you, man, for joining.
Hey, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you. Because Brother Herb and Brother Hunter, I got a lot to say on this subject matter.
Hey, speak your piece, man.
Now, the initial question was, can you repeat that one more time for me, please, so I know?
What compelled you to adopt your stance on not wanting to date a single mother?
Okay. That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad it's being asked. I am a black man. I know you all can't see me, but I'm a black man. Grew up in Black America in the South. Okay. I witnessed a lot of people come up in single mother homes. Now, when I was a kid, most of my friends had mom and dad at home. There was only a few of them that didn't. But as I got older, as I become a man, I started seeing more and more of it. And I started noticing as a man, when it came to my mate selection options, I was running into a lot of women who had children. Okay. Now, let me say this, gentlemen. I don't hate women. I don't hate children. And I don't hate single mothers. However, we have a crisis in the Black community right now. We have a crisis that must be addressed. All right. Single motherhood leaches from the continuity of the patriarchal unit that we need in our community in order to survive. It leaches to the point where it is robbing us of good men. It's robbing us of eligible women for marriage. It's robbing us in the sense that it is taking away our ability to stand up in the world, on the world stage, and tell the world that we are a people that deserve to be respected. We are people that deserve to be treated fairly. We are people that deserve to be treated in a manner that is with dignity, with respect, and with love. And see, You lose that in an environment that is dominated by single mothers. Single motherhood is very matriarchal, okay, and matriarchies make weak men. I'm gonna say that again. Matriarchies make weak men. When we look at the other communities around us, even here in America, that are not overrun with the single mother madness, those communities seem to be thriving. Those communities seem to be progressing. Those communities are not faced with the same traumas and same level of destruction that we are facing on a daily basis. I don't see where any other group of people have to deal with on the level that we have to deal with police brutality, right? Poverty, okay? Crime, right? Homelessness. I don't see any other communities having to deal with those things at the level that we have to deal with it. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have those things, but we have a disproportionate amount of it in our community, and at the root of it is single motherhood. All roads lead back to single motherhood. So when you ask me, why don't I date a single mother? I'll tell you why. I don't do it because I don't want to encourage a behavior that destroys us. The more you reward a thing, the more of the thing you get. The more you condemn a thing, the least of a thing you get. Right now in Black America, we reward single motherhood. I want to make and I know we'll go into this later, but I need to say it because it's on my mind now. The brother said that pregnancies are an accident, and this is not a dig or an insult at you, sir. But I want to correct you on that, if you allow me, please. There is no pregnancy where a woman has consensual sex that is an accident. All pregnancies where a woman has consensual sex is, by definition, what we call here in America, as far as consensual sex, when she becomes pregnant, that was a choice. All women who have consensual sex, become pregnant, chose to become pregnant. Why do I say that? Because there is nothing that stops a woman from preventing herself from becoming pregnant after she has sex. Do you gentlemen understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing. There was no law. There was no social structure. There was no religious structure. There was nothing here in this land. Now, I don't know where you guys are. I know the brother said he was from Jamaica. I don't know if he's still there or not. So forgive me for not knowing the Jamaican legal system and the Jamaican customs. I don't know, but I know the continental United States, or within the United States, period, there is no law that says that a woman must become pregnant when she has sex. As a matter of fact, there is no law that tells a woman that she cannot do what it takes to not become pregnant after she has had sex. And I'm talking about, this is the period between sexual intercourse and conception. There's a window there, and a lot of people, a lot of men, and it's sad that we don't know this. We learned this in health class. Well, I know I did. I'm probably dating myself, but when I was I'm 46, so y'all got to forgive me.
We're all about the same age. We're in the mid to late 40s.
Yeah, I'm 46. When I was in high school, we had health, and we were taught these things. But you know what what I was doing when they was talking about this in health? Man, I was trying to holler at the ladies. I was beatboxing. I was playing the paper football. Man, this is health. This is an easy class. Health was supposed to be one of those breeze classes. I wasn't really paying attention. It wasn't until I became a man that I said, hold up. They were actually trying to tell us something back then, okay? Women have the right, the ability, and the authority to prevent conception from the time they have sex up until the moment they conceive. If they don't do that, that is a choice, which means they have chosen to become pregnant. I yield the floor to the moderator.
I'd like to say, just because I was the one that said that, and I completely agree with you.
Go ahead.
What I should have said was, a pregnancy may be an accident, simply because that is a rhetoric out there that a lot of people will try to use. Oh, it was an accident. Right. But what can be completely 100% proven is that an actual birth of a child is 100% up to the woman. So there's no way there can be a rhetoric against that. So I completely agree with you.
Right. And I understand. Right, and I understand what you're saying, and it wasn't meant to be a shot or a dig at you. Is I have those, everybody has that thing that triggers them, and that's one of those things that triggers me. When I hear this defense of pregnancy, as if, she couldn't do anything about it. We had sex and whoops, whoopsie poopsie. No.
It's actually really hard. It's a hard thing to do. You have to be doing it pretty much on purpose. It's like a 20% chance within a year period of time. It's like a 70% chance for a woman to get pregnant. So it's not.
Right, especially when you start, because see, what I had to do, gentlemen, is I had to study the female anatomy, and I had to study the female reproductive process. And when I started doing that, see, for a long time, I was under the impression that, pregnancy or a conception was this nebulous, magical thing that could, it was like Jesus. It could come at any time, So I didn't know. I really thought that this thing could just happen at any time until I started looking at the science of or the functions of the female body, particularly when it comes to reproduction. And I said, whoa. You mean to tell me that there's only a 24-hour window within a month where a woman can actually conceive? How are all these women having these accidental pregnancies? It's no accident. All right. These things happen on purpose. These things happen intentionally. All right. And I'm not knocking pregnancy. I'm not knocking the birth of a child. But what I am knocking is people using pregnancy, and I'm speaking specifically of women, people using pregnancy as a means to hustle men. And that's what we got a lot going on, and particularly in the Black community, is a lot of hustling of men with babies. And that's disgusting. That's disgusting. And one reason why I started the group on Facebook, Say No to Single Mothers, is because I wanted to reach out to more men and get men to start thinking like this, get men to start understanding where we are in the world. And so I started pushing this agenda, and I've been doing it now. Hondo, how long I've been doing it? I've been doing it for a while now.
By my count, by about 4 years.
No, it's been a little longer than that.
It's longer than that, Brother Herbert. I was actually there. Now there's a story behind that. Cut in real quick, Master Yacht, because I was literally in the living room. I was in Master Yatta's living room. I visited him one day, and he came up with the concept of Say No to Single Mothers in the spring of 2009. I'm sorry, 2012. I was there. So anybody else who came after him with any similar logos, slogans, they're copying him, because I was literally talking to him. He said, "Hey man, I've got this idea. I think that single motherhood is a problem." And he started laying it out. I mean, for about 6 months, this brother laid out the whole thing. And I said, you know what? I get that, because at the same time, I was writing my book on polygamy, and obviously I have to study, mate selection, things like that. So I'm actually acting as witness to everybody listening, even people who listen to the archive, that this whole movement against single mothers started with Arab in Israel, because I was there when he formulated the concept in the spring of 2012, and I can authentic. I've seen some. He's procured things like he's shown me a lot, so which connects to some other work some others doing out, and maybe he'll mention that later on. But very thorough brother. So I speak up for him real.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. And can I add something as well?
Sure.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much. I think it's a blessing to be here, because I've learned a lot from a lot of you gentlemen. So it's affecting people even when you're in places you don't know.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just happy to be here, and it's the first time I've known so many authors in one place, counselors and all that kind of stuff. And so I've learned a lot, and there's a little bit the same issues going on down here in Canada. So, I'm seeing if there's maybe something I can learn from you guys and, apply it once I learn it.
Okay.
Well, I think the one thing that we all come from varied backgrounds and varied locations. Like Hondo, I'm not sure where you're originally from. I'm from Niagara Falls. David is from Niagara Falls, but we've all moved.
Detroit area.
We're,
I'm from
we're
Southeast
through.
Michigan, Detroit area.
Okay,
Mhm.
see, we're
I'm
through.
Toronto, Scarborough.
Let's see, let's see. We got people from Canada all the way down to the Caribbean, West Coast, East Coast. So it's not as if we are drawing from the same pool of women.
Right.
So what we so the underlying current, as Yada said, has to be addressed. But the one thing that we really don't talk about in the terms that we should is our culture. And when
Right.
I say culture, I'm talking about television, music,
Right.
print advertising. And
Right.
the one thing that really, and I always push on our show, is we never talk about how the government sets this up.
Right.
When I mentioned the Monahan report, a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about. I mentioned Monahan's scissors. We talk about the Great Society with London B. Johnson and the extension of welfare benefits. All of that undergirds single motherhood. And now we're starting to see the legislation come across with Title IX and what Biden has planned to try and quote unquote level the playing field with transgender men competing with women's sports. All of this starts and has its genesis rooted in that.
Yeah.
We talk about, and I just want people to understand, we focus on Black single motherhood because that's where we come from. But make no mistake, single motherhood rates across every ethnicity in this country, as well as Western cultures, is on the rise. And this is what we are here to talk about. So people have to understand intrinsically how this harms everyone and not just Blacks.
Can I say
Brother
something?
Herbert.
I'm sorry, Hondo.
Brother Herbert, I'm going to add to what you just said here. So, especially in countries that have been impacted by various the slavery that was enacted by various European powers. You're talking about the Dutch, English, to a small extent, the Germans, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and the Italians. Okay, those specific countries were the European powers that were traveling around the planet enslaving people. Slavery has a very interesting element that is rarely discussed, and that is occupation. So once you invade a particular people and you succeeded in conquering them through open warfare, okay, you're talking about combat out in the field or by sea. Okay, you then start from your headquarters, from your home country, and come in. They bring heads of religion and heads of state. These are conquistadors. These are Lord protectors. In the case of, say, Oliver Cromwell. Once they come in, they then change the marriage customs, but they don't always force it physically. What they'll do, they'll bring in heads of religion. These are popes. These are priests. These are pastors. These are deacons. People like that. In this particular instance, then they will actually bring soldiers in to occupy. Then will convince some of the people who are now victims of the attack. They will put them in place as a buffer class. Then they will mate with the local women and then create a mixed buffer class. So now, with the marriage customs change, it's very easy to create the deepest and poorest class of I guess you can create the deepest level of poverty, is what I should say. That would be single mothers. And by doing, you see more and more single motherhood whenever you see direct attacks on a population. So that's what actually ended up leading to what you just told us there.
And, it's interesting you saw that. We saw that with the occupation in Japan at the Allied forces, particularly with American GIs. We also saw that in Korea and in Vietnam. So there's people, we're telling you stuff, and we tell you this for a reason, because we want you to go look this stuff up. Everywhere that there has been military conquest, you have seen what Hondo has just mentioned.
That's right. And the genesis, a lot of people like to say the genesis of single motherhood was slavery, and I can say that there was some of that going on, in part against both black men and black women's will. All right.
Mhm.
But what we saw post Civil War, into Reconstruction, into the moving into the industrial age, is we saw an uptick and an increase in the number of black families and black marriages. Okay,
Right.
Up until the point where in 1950, black people had the highest rates of marriage in America. Okay, somewhere around, I think, 80%, which is pretty damn good. So we're talking about 80% of men and women being married, and they are producing children in wedlock. Well, as Master Honda was articulating there, these military forces, they show up, and they don't always show up in the forms of soldiers. All right, sometimes they show up in the forms of policies, or sometimes they show up in the form of social movements. And
Yep.
the thing that started the single motherhood epidemic, in my opinion, from what I've researched, the thing that really got it started and really started pushing through the black community was in the 60s, when we had the sexual revolution. It was
Mhm.
at that moment, all right? It was at that moment when the dominant society told its women that, you know what, you can choose your own sex partners. You can choose your own. You can choose the people that you want to marry. You don't have to. You don't have to worry about what your father says. Okay. If you want to marry a guy, you marry him. If you want to have sex with a guy, you have sex with him. All right. Now, it said that to its women, but our women heard it. When I say our, I mean black women heard it, and black women picked it up, and they really started running with it. And we see it move forward, particularly in the 70s. It really started picking up steam. I believe that's when Monahan came out with his report sometime in the 70s, and he started talking about, hey, we seeing this decline in black families. If we keep going this way, you're gonna see a lot of problems in black families.
Yep.
And so when deindustrialization started happening, started taking the industries and the factories and the companies out of the inner cities in the early 80s, bringing in the crack cocaine. You had this war zone. You had this war zone where no troop, no soldier ever set a foot in, other than the police. Okay, but I'm talking about where war was actually declared on the people. So war was declared on the black people, and now we have children whose fathers are locked up, right? Children whose fathers are dead, okay? Which created a new class of fatherless children and a new class of single mothers. And let's not forget I think it was the 1986 TV interview. I think it was with, I want to say, Mike Wallace, where they went into the hood and started interviewing black women and asking them, do you want to be married? Do you want to be married? And they were like, nah, we don't want to be married. Okay. I'll see if I can find that and share that with you. Excuse me, Brother Herb, because it's important to understand the idea and the mentality that is behind single motherhood, and it's the desire to not be controlled and dominated by a man in a relationship. We have to understand that. All right. For whatever reason, we have a class of women or a group of women who don't want to be dominated in relationships. Okay. And when you cannot have control over your women, you cannot have control over your family, and you damn sure won't have control over your society. That's just the way it works. All right.
Yeah. And to what you just said, T.I.'s daughter, who he, by what most people would consider, did a magnificent job of raising her. And even when she got pregnant, she said she would rather be pregnant and not married than to be married and pregnant, which was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people, because a lot of people were just saying, okay, wait a minute. If T.I. is having this problem, a man who comes from, or a man who has wealth and is influential, if he can't control his daughter, then what hope is it for the average rank and file brother or man in this country and system? Which leads me to the next question. What advice would you give a young man who might consider dating a single mother?
I'm sorry. I don't want to dominate.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Go ahead. It's an open question. Whoever wants to answer can answer it.
Don't.
So just understand what you're getting into. Single mothers, they can still be fun companions, good times, things like that. But understand your goals and understand what you're getting into. If you're ready to start building your own family and you're looking for the one or the two or whatever, then a single mother would be probably your worst option to choose from. And if you are a man that has options, as in you're a man that built yourself up, you built your capabilities, your wealth, your confidence, then you have options. A single mother you don't want to go that route because there's a huge cost to it. So just understand what you're getting into. And
Well,
I'm gonna echo everyone else, just don't do it.
Well, I would definitely say don't do it. For definitely for the reasons that the brother said there, but also for another reason that we often don't consider, and that is the intrusion that you are making as a man in the life of those children between their children and their natural father. Okay. All right. See, those children have a right to have a relationship with their father without your interference and without your presence. They have a right to that, and vice versa. That father has the same right with his children. See, we don't have enough men who give a damn about other men. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I started Say No to Single Mothers is because I want men to understand you have to be your brother's keeper in this thing. You have to give a damn about your brother to the point where you say, you know what? No. I'm not going to aid and abet a woman in alienating her children from their father. That's what my presence there in her life does. It aids her and it helps her. It abets her in alienating her children from their natural father. Okay. And if you care about children the way you say you do, you shouldn't want to do that. Okay. Now, some women will say, well, their father ain't in their lives. Well, not when you keep them from him. You damn right they're not in his life. Okay. Or their father don't even want them. Yeah, well, did you get pregnant against his will? You know what I'm saying? Is these one of these oops babies you forced on him? Okay. Right? How about this? Have you ever tried to give your children to their father? Most of them have not. Most of them will never try because they don't love their children. It's not about what's best for their children. It's about what's best for them. Okay. So I say no, don't date single mothers because you don't want to reward that bad behavior where you are aiding and abetting a woman in keeping her children from their father, or you're interfering with the presence and the influence that father should have over his children. Children are made in the image and the likeness of their father, not you. You don't have a right to be there. You are an interloper. Okay. And I know that's going to hurt a lot of people, especially men, because they get, when I start saying this, Master Hondo, when I start saying this, men start getting, they get shifty on their feet, no, man, see, no. See, you're an interloper, all right? You're an intruder. You're a trespasser. Those children have a right to be with their father without your presence and without your influence. Most of these guys I talk to who like to deal with single mothers like that, I ask them, well, how often do you and the children's father, how often do y'all talk? Do y'all sit down and discuss, man to man, what he would like for his children? No, see, man, no. See, no. Those are his children. Okay? Just because the state has made room for you to move in and be a part of those children's lives doesn't mean you should. We have to start making the hard and tough decisions and resisting single mothers and their offers. That's the only way you're going to fix the so-called Black community. Now, if you don't want to do that, fine. Keep doing what you're doing. Let me know how that's going to work out for you.
And I'm on record as saying, that in order,
we are going down the toilet and fast. We have to make some tough decisions. I yield the floor.
And I'm on record as saying, look, we're gonna have to make some tough decisions in the next in the next decade coming forward if we're gonna have any resemblance of what we consider Black America, and that includes cutting off mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, brothers, any blood relative or any person for that matter who is not, as the euphemism likes to go, isn't on code or on board with that message, because we have far too much division and we have to cut off the dead weight in order for us to survive as a viable people. And we need to look no further in this country than the population of the Native American. The population is so sparse that you rarely see full-blooded Native Americans as much as they can be, given the infusion of the European blood into their genealogy.
Right.
So people, like I said, we're not here to bash. We're here to give you the information, because we often hear that David and myself were the only guys to feel like this. And I'm looking at the chat and I see all the excuses from God said, be fruitful and multiply. God never spoke about single mothers. God never said anything about go out and be fruitful and multiply by yourself, because it takes two to multiply. God, in his almighty wisdom, and I'm not a biblical scholar, but I believe he wanted families. You never heard him talk about a single mother other than Mary Magdalene, and there's still questions behind that. So the women that are out here talking about what about men this and what about men that, this was never about the individual. This is about a scourge that is, I'll get you, Hondo. This is about a scourge that is running through the world, and if we don't arrest it now, it will destroy us en masse. Go ahead, Hondo.
All right, so I'm going to give you all the stat, because I'm actually reading the comments in this window here. I'm going to respond to Sister Lakea Perry, as well as some of the men, things like that. Some of the questions y'all are asking are trying to like go tit for tat instead of think about what we're saying. Now, yes, all five of the brothers that have said something. No, we don't like single motherhood, because we're looking at it from an economic perspective. It's a business. It's not about love. We need to get rid of that. If we engage, I'm talking about the men. If we get together, form brotherhoods, the mate selection will improve drastically, even over ration. Okay. By the time our sons are of marrying age, they will make better decisions. And then someone's gotta mute their mic, because we're gonna get feedback. There's going to be a marked improvement when we come up with rules. I know people don't like rules, but rules provide you with freedom. Freedom isn't just this benign thing sitting by itself somewhere and you reach out and grab it. It is actually confined. It's almost like it's like a raging river that you house between two banks, okay, on either side of the river. It's containing it. So that way it can flow properly. It can flow freely. Now, I'm going to give a stat. So some of you are saying these men are leaving these women. In 1986, there was a study done by the Journal of Marriage and Family. I'm sorry, the Journal of Family and Marriage is called. And they found, and I've seen about half a dozen other studies since 1986 that reflected these same stats. They found that out of all the people these were women. They did not ask the men. They asked who initiated a divorce or a marital relationship. Was the breakup due to initiated due to abusive reasons? So we'll give you all these stats. They found that women initiate divorces. They found nearly 90% of the time, and 80% out of that 90% were for non-abusive reasons. That means that we have a mix of sometimes children were involved or born from these relationships, and sometimes they weren't. Okay. But still, the nature of women is very all over the place. That's why men come in and we say yes, no, and we talk. Even the way we talk is very direct. Women tend to very picturesque terms and kind of, and we're there to balance men and women. It's not good or bad. It's just the way we are. So even the non-marital relationships reflected the same thing. Women were initiating breakups with their boyfriends nearly 90% of the time. In approximately 5% of that time, they were breaking up with these men for non-abusive reasons. Remember, they were polling the women. They were not asking the men what they thought. They were asking women. So women were telling the truth about themselves and exactly what your thoughts were, and exactly why they did something. So this leads us now to having rules for relationships. This means that when you get into a relationship with a woman, specifically if it's a marriage, okay, brother Pierre, you said you're married, correct? You're actually married, like government paper, all that stuff. You
Correct.
can actually, okay, sir. So you can actually, all men who marry under civic government, you can actually have an internationally binding, legally enforceable contract anywhere in the world, and you can form that. And every man should have a family constitution, which should also contain the contract. And you should sign it in front of an attorney, because that will protect you in the event that there is a divorce. She can't say, oh, well, I signed it under duress, and now the judge throws it out. See, that's a mistake. You want to sign it in front of an attorney. See, that way, if she has an attorney, you have an attorney, or you both have a mutual attorney, that way he can give you all advisement. One route. I mean, there's other routes you can take. There's certain things you can do, and even go before a judge to enact your contract, to actually put the seal of approval on your contract. You can do things like making sure your children are going to be with you in the event of a divorce, or even a non-marital breakup. This is what contracts are for, because marriage is a business. Now, if you look at some of the old dictionaries and encyclopedias, it would actually describe sex as commerce. Okay, sex is literally, it is a business transaction. So when we approach these women, no, she cute, she got a big behind, she curvy, whatever, and she want to holler at you because of whatever. All men should immediately think, okay, this is part of my business. This woman would be an extension of my. You brothers watching are wealthy. So the more money and assets you have, the more you should be thinking about this. The more ambitious you are when you're at the bottom economically, the more you should be thinking this. So this is one reason I know in my own life, a lot of women are like, oh, love, honey. I'm like, love goes over time. It's based on your obedience. It's based on your cooperation. I don't go into it thinking romantically. Okay, of course I'm attracted to the woman, but there are 4.3 million women on this planet. If they're 18 and up and they're single, and you have a you in business. You literally have access to like a couple of billion women. And guys have to, when you are building wealth, you cannot think scarcity. And that means that you can now go in, and ladies, I want you ladies to listen. You can now respect the woman more if you approach her from this perspective, not to get off into all these Western dating systems and all this backward type stuff that only leads to your destruction of your lineage past the seventh generation. So I get a little amped stuff. We got to start thinking different. Ladies, you too. You need to get the best man that is within your reach when you are ready to get a mate, and you need to be preparing as well. So if everybody just does what they're supposed to do and treats it like it's an economy, then we'll all be better off.
Can I
Yeah,
can I go next?
yes, absolutely.
All right. I'm Sheet. We here in the chat, and like I said, I've been married for 14 years to a single mother. And the crazy thing about it is, in this day and time, I don't advise young men to actually deal with single mothers due to the fact that, like I said, I've been married for 14 years. A lot of women don't appreciate, you know, a single father coming in their life as back in the day most of the women did, because they were forced to deal with the men because there was no one else, and the system wasn't there like the welfare was to kind of give these women a helping hand. And I see the women in the comments making the notions of all this, but you got to understand, when it comes down to it, it does take both parents to actually have that child. But at the same time, just as if this man is having sex with a woman without a condom, by all means, if you let that man have sex with you without a condom, ultimately a baby's going to be involved. It takes both parties for the wrongness to be done. But essentially, you're going to be the one that carrying the whole weight of the burden for 9 months, and essentially taking, um, the baby as well during the process. So you're taking a boatload of it. And women have to understand, truth be told, we can say, I mean, the women can say that the men, kind of talk them this and whatever that, but ultimately, if this man is not the man that you want to spend your life, or think that he's the right one, don't have that process being done for you having sex ultimately with no condoms, because you have to the issue where women can have abortion right now. It's up in the air to where women in most states can't have abortions, but that was a form of birth control. The women have the plant B pill they can take. Men have none of those things. If a woman chooses to have a baby, ultimately it's downhill for him, you know. And the process of, like I said, to where a lot of women don't appreciate these men nowadays, it's kind of serious to the fact that, when a man does come in a woman's life, like I said, before I got married, the whole process was every woman always, pushed the issue of me doing something for their kids in the relationship. My wife never came at me like that. She never pushed, the whole notion of us, all together. It was just me and her. Because like I tell guys, when I deal with single mothers, I don't look at it as baggage, because if I know she has kids, I know I have to take care of those kids eventually one day. And most guys, they say, well, that's baggage. Well, if that's the case, I shouldn't be dealing with single women. I mean, I should be dealing with single mothers. I mean, that have kids, because ultimately, if I'm dealing with these mothers that have these kids, eventually I'm gonna have to deal with these kids one day or another. And she was the only one that really didn't push the issue of that. And with me wanting kids and see how she raised her kids, that was more or less a better option for me, especially with a lot of women that I dealt with that were single. I mean that didn't have kids and had kids, and all of them I kept getting the same notion. I mean, it was better for my wife because she's cultured, she's Jamaican, so it made it a lot better for me in my situation. And I just want to add that caveat to the point. But when it came down to it, like I said, a lot of women don't appreciate these guys, and I never got that issue of you not my dad, because I sat down and talked with the kids. I talked with the father. A lot of guys don't do that. They're combative. They listen to the woman amongst everything. And just like the gentleman saying earlier, as a man, if you're raising someone else's kids, you got to have that conversation with that man, saying, hey, I'm not an abusive man. I'm here, with her, whether you like it or not. We're establishing a relationship, and to let you know that I'm here with your kids, and this is going to be the next step. Because most guys keep that division where you're dealing with the baby mama to talk to the baby daddy, instead of just
Yeah.
going man to man and handling the situation to where it evens out, to where if any situation goes on, you're not hearing from third party. You're not having the kids run around talking behind your back and spreading rumors. Because if the kids say something to the dad's gonna get mad, talk to the mom's gonna get mad, talk to you, and it's gonna be a complete, like, the circle of life. No, it needs to be a point, straight to the point. If something goes on, you can call me and say, hey, my son said you did this. My daughter said this. Is this true? Me and you have a conversation. Me and you, sit down and have the kids in front of us. There's no more, he say, she say stuff. It's a direct link. A lot of guys don't do that because they let a lot of the women handle and control the situation. That's why I ultimately tell guys, if you're not in this whole process to where you step up as a man and control that relationship, don't do it. When you have these kids say you're not my dad, it's because that lack of respect. That's why I tell guys, don't do it, because ultimately, if the kids don't respect you, I mean, if it all boils down to the woman. If she don't respect you to a certain degree, it's a trickle effect. The
Hmm.
kids, the baby dad, all of them not going to respect you. So
Yeah.
you have to set that dominance from the beginning. And then I get what you guys are saying, with the whole scenario. I mean, even as an older man, if I was to go into a relationship with a woman, I would not deal with a single woman. I mean, a mother with kids, for the simple fact is, like I said, if I see any notion of these kids disrespecting her, then they're gonna ultimately disrespect me. I've been in relationships where I had to check the kids and tell them, don't talk to your mom like that. You know, if I'm around here, you better straighten up, and the tone is different. You know, the women like it, but the whole point, I couldn't stay with them due to the fact, you know, they had issues going on within themselves. They couldn't even grasp the concept. If you can't take care of your kids, I know most likely me, you can't have a relationship, because, you know, I was raised that kids don't run the household. And seeing that scenario, I know you're going to have a problem with me, because I'm coming in almost as a disciplinary, and I'm gonna have to, you know, take on the role as a judge when it comes to you and your kids. And who wants to go through that in a relationship? You don't want to raise your wife. You want to be in a relationship with her. And
Right.
ultimately, that what it goes down to. But go ahead.
And I'm reading the comments, and I think what a lot of women don't understand is this: it becomes impossible for a woman to divorce herself from her from her feelings on this. And that's understandable because you're governed by that. Whereas men are governed by practicality. As Brother Hondo said, it's an economic question for us. So the question becomes, do I want to use my resources, time and energy, to take care of something that I derive no benefit from? And in a lot of cases, I'm not going to receive any credit. We see this all the time with professional athletes. When they make it big, the first person they thank is their mother, understandably so. But if there's a stepfather involved, he rarely receives credit. And that is the ultimate form of disrespect, because the mother didn't go out there and practice free throws, throw pitches, hit shag fly balls, any of that stuff that normally is reserved for a masculine presence in a child's life, whether that child is a stepfather or father. We talk about Venus and Serena Williams, but we rarely hear mention of their father, who was not only instrumental, he was the driving force behind them being the tennis players that they are. And this is why I fight tooth and nail for women to give the children to their fathers at an appropriate age, particularly the boys, because they need that. It's an essence that women just simply can't give them. You can't spot your teenage son who's trying to bench press 250 pounds. It becomes impossible for you. So you have to go get somebody that can do it. Maybe his older brother, uncle, his father, if he's there. These are all the things that women never consider. This is why I always stand firm on that platform of give him to his father. Once he starts to reach puberty, whatever age that is, your job is done. You've imparted all the empathy, all the sympathy you can with him. Now it's time for him to go learn that rite of passage. And that's one of the things that we don't have in a Western dominated matriarchal culture that is missing. You go to any other culture, even here, and that exists.
Hold
So
on,
women, you have to understand. Go ahead.
I know you said their job is done. Is it really done? I don't know if it's done. I think it's still, no matter how old you get as a child, whether it's man, female, and I'm thinking you talk about predominantly boys, they're still going to need their mother for something.
Well, no. When I say their job is done, that doesn't mean they can't have a hand in what's going on. I'm just simply saying, in terms of putting that foundation down, that job is done. Because you as a woman, you can only build a young man up so much. She's not going to be able to give him the life lessons that he's going to need from a masculine perspective. So if he doesn't get those things that he needs from a masculine perspective, he's going to be operating in a female perspective. And if he continues to operate in a female perspective as an adult male, he becomes compromised, because he's going to run into a woman who's ultimately going to dominate him, because she is in her element, he's in her element. And the only way that he can actually survive is to acquiesce to what she wants. And that makes for an imbalance. He can't use his male authority because he doesn't have any. He can't say, look, this is what we're going to do because I know better, because he doesn't. He's not going to be able to go to her and say, look, I need you to fix the car and the flat tire, because he's going to say, well, you're the man. You're supposed to do it. This is what we're seeing in the comments. we keep seeing the comments that men are the head, men should be using birth control. Well, how? And I posted this last week on my Facebook page. How is it that a man can be an effective father if the woman says he is unfit and she's unwilling to give him control of the child? He can't. But they want everything that comes with the traditional father, but they're still exhibiting the modern world attributes of being able to control everything from the familial aspect. So something has to give. Either you want good boys to become good men, or you don't want them. It's like BGS said. Black women have come to raise the children, raise the men that they loathe.
Herb, let me ask you this. I think a couple women, and we got pretty much a full panel. Do y'all want any women to come in with any questions?
At this point, I don't. Brothers, do you guys have a problem with that?
I do not, because I want to hear the women involvement in this, because a lot of times we deal with one side from the men, and the women there, as of right now in the chat, making comments.
I don't want to hear from the women. I won't even front. I don't want to hear from them, because we've been hearing from them years. Men need to come together and discuss this from a very rational perspective, because we're the ones who got to take care of those children, and we're the ones who got to take on the women, and we're the ones who got to lead the women, and we're the ones who are building the roads and building buildings and things like that. We need to have a platform so that men can actually. We're not just venting. I mean, we're bringing up statistics. We're bringing up readily observable facts, which is utilized in the scientific method, the 7-part scientific method. Okay, women are not going to come in here talking about that. They're not going to. And that's not what builds a society. As a matter of fact, Brother Herbert, you mentioned something. You mentioned something very important. There's other things that we never discussed, like inheritance. So if I have 4 sons, and in Israelite or Islamic culture, he's going to get the lion's share. So we're talking about 50%, and then we're talking about approximately 17%, give or take a couple of percentage points, for the other three children. You bring in some stepchildren, and if there's an expectation that they're going to get an inheritance, then now you got to reduce your eldest son's inheritance. We ain't doing that. See, that's where this feelings versus rock solid science is concerned. You do not reduce your lineage while you, as 2 or 3 of you have pointed out, while you're stealing another man's progeny, because you can literally
Herbert, let me interject something.
You can
please.
You can literally start a blood feud like that. You can end up being killed. You can end up having your children taken out. See, notice because when I travel, I don't travel as a tourist. When I go to other countries, I'm going to places that most people visiting are not going to visit. I don't go there on sex tours. I'm not going there to go see the hot spots. I'm going there talking to people, and they don't talk like this. They don't talk like what we see some of the comments, some of the men and women are saying. They don't talk like that. It's very brutal. The world is very brutal. It's a very brutal place. And when it comes to people's progeny, you can get taken out for that. Now, where my consorts live at, my consorts, as some of you know, are in another country. Okay, so when I go there, life becomes brutal. I literally will abandon all my thought process about here. Because if I try to do what I do here, there, that's going to be trouble. And I've asked one of my consorts, actually, she scooped me up one day. So she grabbed me and wouldn't let me go because I was about to go do something that I would normally do here. And it wasn't bad, unethical or anything like that, but I can't do it there. And you have to be able to accept facts and figures. And if building a family, you can't be all over the place. As y'all have, and I have been reading the comments are all over the place and aren't even addressing what we're saying. We're bringing up data saying that women are breaking up families. Those are real stats. Women are the ones breaking up most of the families. We don't support evil men impregnating women and disappearing. Of course, we don't support that. Who does? Men will blaze up those men who do that. That's why those men are usually by themselves. We don't find that funny. So men get a woman pregnant. She's wondering where he's at. Hey, what about these children? Should you have planned the family and that activity better? Yes, absolutely. I mean that the men should abandon. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about breaking condoms. We're not talking about all this treachery. What we do, ladies, when we meet you, what you have to do and what we have to do. We have not singled you out. We've been talking mostly about what we have to do. So you can't be all over the place. And I see the same responses every time women want to enter the
Right.
conversation. So for me, I would rather not the women come on, because I already know what it's gonna turn to y'all, and y'all just don't want to say that because for fear of not winning you. But see, you as a man, you can't move like that.
But
I
this is the
I
point
agree with
of
you.
the. I just want to say the only reason I wanted them to come on because of facts. You got to understand this. If they're shooting the rhetoric and we're giving nothing but facts, it makes them look foolish about their talking points being diminished. That's the only reason I
It,
said that.
but it's okay. But you see that's
Also,
okay. When you're building a corporation, a business, a military, whatever it is, you all that stuff goes out the door. I
Right.
come from I was raised by 9 combat veterans. All were men except one. Okay, two more who were in the military doing wartime, and I was going to become a sniper in the military. I was actually at the MEP Center for the U.S. Army. They were walking down the hall to call me, and I changed my mind right before they called my name, and I saw them walking down the hall. So I like all I know is order and structure. Even the see let me put it like this. I'll give you a perfect example. Out of the 100 or 200 in my family that I can just rattle off people that I grew up with, right? I can say that I'd probably say 2/3 of my family were women. I can only name 5 women between both sides of my clan matriarchal sides of the family that were rebellious, did not respect men, or 2 out of those 5 never got married. And right now they're old, broken, dusty. All the other married between 18 and 28 years old, had children, still married to the same men. I think only one of those is on her second husband. And they're happy. They built wealth, things like that. I didn't see that poverty in those households. I didn't. Out of all those people, the only poor people in my family were those 5 women who were always popping off at the mouth, and that includes 2 of them who never married. I'm telling you, this stuff is real, and patriarchal societies will always dominate. Whenever they see single moms, I can name the Philippines, I can name most of the Caribbean islands, and we can even go down to the continent of South America. We can go to Guyana. Wherever you go to those places, they're dominated. In the United States, now you see it in Canada. Now you see it in England, and
Yep.
that stuff is spreading because it's a vestige of goddess worship. When you accept single motherhood as a fact and as a thing that we should participate in, outside of widow, of course, outside of, then you're talking about goddess worship, and that will always kill your whole economy, and you will see the dumbing down of a nation, the men and the women.
And just to follow up what Hondo is saying, one of the greatest indicators of remaining in poverty is to be born to a single mother. That is a great indicator of whether or not you'll be able to escape and get into the middle class. Look here, you're asking where we get this information from. This information is readily available on the internet. Blackdemographics.com does an excellent job of breaking down this information. The CDC has put out a report that Black men are the best fathers in this country. So for people that spew that rhetoric, it's clear that you remain in the echo chambers and the circles that you do, and you keep getting the same information that reinforces a false belief that you can't defend. And when you run into a panel like this with brothers who are dropping information, it upsets you because it destroys your belief. And the hardest thing for anyone to do is to have their beliefs challenged. And when you challenge somebody's belief, you might as well be trying to kill them. This is why women fight tooth and nail, and nobody's trying to divest you of your rights. You have those rights to do as you choose, to sleep with whoever you want to, whenever you want to. Just realize that you are going to pay a price, and ultimately, if you pay a price, your children pay a greater price.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be fair, I'm in the middle of putting together an all-women's panel, and you guys can have at it. We're going to have some women that are going to talk about the importance of having families versus the women that want to talk about the aspect of being a single parent. And you guys can sit there and you can hash it out. Yes.
I'm sorry. Forgive me for cutting you off. And let me just kind of echo the sentiment that Master Hondo shared. I'll just be frank about it. If a woman comes on this panel while I'm here tonight, I'm gone. I'm out.
Oh no, I understand. No. We just put it out there so the women understand that we're not ignoring them. We see them, but this is what the panel was convened for. That's all that was. I understand, bro.
Yeah. And Hunter will bear witness to this. He and I have done many shows together. Matter of fact, we had a show together many years ago, the Men's Morning Show on Blog Talk Radio. And when we start having these types of conversations, it has been my experience that women become disingenuous and intellectually dishonest. And I don't feel like dealing with that tonight. I know you brothers don't feel like dealing with that tonight.
Oh yeah, no.
There was a particular comment that I want to address where one of the I believe it was a woman who said something about, well, you guys can't wear condoms. Men wearing condoms. Let me say this first and foremost, and then I'll kind of segue. Sex is meant to be had without condoms. I'm gonna say it again. Sex is meant to be had without condoms. What is not meant to be had, or what is not meant, is for a woman to get pregnant every time she has sex. That is not supposed to happen. As a matter of fact, most times a woman has sex, she does not get pregnant.
Correct.
Okay? Most times. All right? So let's stop acting like, that's that intellectually dishonest, disingenuous, disingenuous retorts that make me say, nah, I can't have these conversations with women because I already know where they're going. Second of all, even if we wear condoms, okay, none of you ladies on this panel have children by any of the men on this panel. So what difference does it make if your man didn't wear a condom to us? What difference does that make to us or to the man who you might want to marry in the future? Are you going to walk up to the man who you want to marry in the future with your 2 and 3 children by 20 men and say, they didn't wear condoms? What does that have to do with us? That's irrelevant. See, it's stupid to make that argument. It's very unintelligent to make that argument. And these are the types of silly arguments that, when I started this group years ago, Brother Herb, I had the Say No to Single Mother group. I had women in there.
I know. I remember. Yeah. I recall, and they had the page shut down because they got in their feelings to the point where they couldn't take what we were saying.
They couldn't take what we were saying. It was, it was hitting home too hard, and so, what we as men what we're trying to get the other men and women also to understand is that you have a right and a responsibility to choose the best woman possible, all right, and not step on another man's toes. Another man's toes would be his children. Okay, no disrespect to the brother who's married to the who married the single mother. He's been married to her for 14 years. I understand that our understanding and our knowledge of what's going on is growing. Okay, so when a lot of men hear me, a lot of men who are dealing with single mothers are married to single mothers or the children of single mothers. When they hear me talk about single mothers, they get kind of in their feelings. And I'm not saying that that's what the brother did, because I don't believe he was very articulate with what he said. But they get in their feelings because it's difficult for them to accept the fact that maybe their own mother or the woman that they're dealing with or their daughter, all right, is contributing to this dysfunction that we have, particularly in the Black community. They just don't want to accept that fact. All right. So condom usage, whether a man uses a condom or not, you know what? That's not something that men who didn't get you pregnant, ladies, have to concern themselves about. We didn't get none of y'all pregnant. You single mothers in the chat, over there in the chat, we didn't get none of y'all pregnant. Okay. So whatever condoms we use or don't use, that ain't got nothing to do with you. What about the condoms your man didn't use? And what does that have to do with the next man who you might want to be with or who you might want to marry?
But the thing is, the whole situation with the condom and not wearing condoms, if a woman essentially lets a man have sex with her without a condom, she ultimately is telling him it's okay for her to have a baby. That's how I look at that. Mm-hmm. Because in general, if you're having sex without a condom, 9 times out of 10, like I always tell men, You know, the men always talking about the women that they deal with.
Brother,
You
your
know,
audio is bad.
it was a night when I was drunk or something like out of the situation. If you have sex without a condom, there's a 50-50 chance you're gonna have a baby or not.
That's not true.
And for,
See, and hold on, bro. I'm sorry. Forgive me for cutting you off. That's not true. That is a fallacy that we have floated in not just the black community, that just floated throughout the general society. Okay. There's not a 50-50 chance. If a woman is not ovulating, she can't get pregnant. Period.
So what man is asking a woman is she ovulating? That's what I'm telling you.
There you go.
That's
So
but
that's
that's
the point.
those are
It's
the
a
conversations
50-50
that men
chance.
need to start engaging in when they're dealing with women.
Right.
But
And
this is what
women
I'm telling
and
you.
women will never tell you that because some of them intentionally want to get pregnant. There's a book out there, and it's called "Promises I Can Keep: Why Women Will Choose Single Motherhood Over Marriage."
Come on,
people. The information is out there. We on this show. I mentioned that book before. We are not coming to you to bash you. We are coming to you to arm you with the information so you know what's out there. There's only a 2 to 3 day window that a woman can conceive. If there is no egg present in the fallopian tube, I don't care how much sperm is present, she can't get pregnant. If she's ovulating on a normal 28-day cycle, it's impossible for her to get pregnant if a fallopian tube is if an egg's not present in the fallopian tube. And I'll go a step further and tell you how this breaks down with birth control pill. Birth control pills only function on a 21-day cycle. The other 7 days are sugar pills, so she keeps in the habit of taking the pills because one day she misses a pill, it resets her cycle. And this is how women end up getting pregnant because they're not consistent with that form of birth control. Now, we haven't even gotten into diaphragms, IUDs, sponges, or all the other myriad of birth control pills that are out there, not to mention the morning and after pill. So women talking about, well, it was a mistake. No, you don't make a 40-week mistake. It's impossible. Only an idiot or an abject dummy makes a 40-week mistake. If you have a child, you intended on having that child. Now, you may not intended to have gotten pregnant, and we understand that on the panel. But still, you had the option to put that child up for adoption, to abort that child, and we're not saying we support it, but that's an option that you do have. So women out, you're floating these disingenuous excuses and you're looking for an escape. Don't take the escape, man. Well, as I like to tell us, man up, woman up and say, you know what? I made a bad decision. I chose a man that was not suitable to be a father, and I allowed him to impregnate me. I'm not going to do it again. This is why we always tell women, marry before you carry. At least that way you can say, you know what? I was married when I had this child. The father wasn't any good, and that's my responsibility for choosing poorly. This is why we always talking about vetting men, vetting women, vetting potential partners. Sit down and have that conversation. I said before to the women on the panel, and I've been rebuked for it. If you want to know if a man is just out to get in your pants, put it on the table the first night and see what he does. If he takes it, you know he's not for you. Get out of there.
See, I'd like to add to that.
Oh, go ahead, brother.
So that's exactly it. Don't give a man a gift of a child until he gives you the gift of a commitment. Like, come on, make sure it's been a huge decrease in standards of bringing children into the world. That's what's happened. Because back in the 60s, prior to the expansion of welfare, the amount of children amount of black children born to unwed mothers was like around 25%. Now it's at around 72%. That is ridiculous. That is a complete drop in standards for bringing children to the world. So that's what's happening. And like I said, I don't want to get on the man that has married a single mother, but what we need to do is we need to stop encouraging and rewarding these women that make these mistakes with good men such as yourself. And that's
I
what
mean,
keeps happening.
I don't have a problem. You guys can talk because I mean, like I said, I've been married for 14 years and counting, so my marriage is great. I mean, anything someone else to say, it's not an issue bashing me. I mean, it's not a criticism towards me. I don't feel no regret toward anything. So you guys can talk. I mean, it's not a problem.
We're not knocking your situation. Your situation turned out to work out fantastic. But what the average rank and file single mother doesn't understand is they'll take your situation and they'll use it and say, if he did it, then why can't everybody else? Failing to understand that your wife understood what you were doing, and she said, I found a man that's willing to take the risk. So in order to show my appreciation, I'm gonna make sure that my progeny, because they're not your progeny, my progeny toes the line, and they're gonna do what I say because this man is leading our household.
Well,
That's what
it
women
was
don't
because
understand, and that's a disingenuous argument that women make, and this is why men stand firm on their position.
it was more or less
And
because
what
I actually led my house. You know, when it came down to it, a lot of men, if you're gonna take that route, that's what I said from the beginning. You have
Right.
to be the one that kind of leads your house. If you ultimately let your wife or girlfriend kind of dictate or run the house, ultimately you meet your demise.
Okay,
No, we
I'm
agree.
say I'm gonna try to bring everybody back down to what I call dynastics. Okay, I was a golf caddy for 25 years from age 12 until the age of 37. I caddied for a member of one of the world's elite families. And he and I discussed a lot of what we're discussing tonight. Why I'm carrying this man's bag up to the seventh green, and he was rubbing his chin, and he looked at me and said, Hondo, you're absolutely right. He said, I've never heard anybody talk about polygamy like that. Because everything we're talking about, I was speaking of under the auspices of polygamy. And I remember, here's this man, a member of literally one of the world's like two richest families, telling me that basically, say again. Okay. Oh, I guess I got an echo. No, but he even verified that everything I said about a lot of what we're discussing tonight was correct. People who are running things, they don't think like single moms and men who just want to deal with single moms and stuff. They don't think like that. And I had to come to that conclusion because I used to deal with a lot of single mothers. And I had good and bad experiences. So that had to do with the children. You know what I'm saying? I got to correct the children and I got to go talk to their daddy. Look, I'm a patriarch. I run my house. So I don't got time to be going to deal with some other dude. Here's the thing. Here's what men don't want to ask. Everything I've been saying tonight is very objective. If you as a man, I'm talking about all men listening. If you as a man have not said, when I plan my estate, where exactly does some other man's children fit into my estate, into my dynasty? If you can't answer that question, you need to rethink like your operations. Okay, if you're thinking, oh, well, I have to negotiate with some other man about his children, that don't make sense. I can't walk into Apple, and I run a couple of businesses. I can't walk into the Apple store and try to negotiate with them about their stuff. They're going to look at me funny. They're going to be like, man, look, that's our stuff and our intellectual property that we created. So we have to start thinking like we're building a dynasty, because everything, a lot of things is being said, including in the comment section, is not dealing actually with dynastics. It's dealing with like some old like broke people hood type stuff, and we can't think like that. We can't, and that may hurt somebody's feelings, but whatever. A lot of feelings will get hurt on your way to climbing into wealth building. And we're talking about finances. We're talking about building a society. We're talking about religion and spirituality and law and sexuality. We're talking about these things. We're talking about intergenerational and multi-generational wealth. You got to think on a whole nother level. And I learned so much by working for 25 years for multimillionaires and billionaires. Those guys, a lot of them took me aside. They even gave me their business cards. They gave me free game that would have cost $5,000-$10,000 just to consult with them for. And they said, nah, man, we're going to teach you how to get this money. We're going to teach you about wealth building. We're going to teach you about investments. And they did that. And not once in 25 years did I hear anybody suggest that we take on single mothers and then start negotiating with some other man about his empire. I'm just trying to get y'all to think, man, logically. And get this. No powerful nation that is still in existence after hundreds or even thousands of years, China, for example, tolerates what some of the people in the comment section are tolerating. Okay, those countries don't think like that. So when we talk about, well, hey man, how we gonna build a community? You don't have a community. Your women are running stuff, so you don't have a community. So it is that's right off the bat. You got men who don't really understand because they were raised by, many of them were raised by single moms or by weak fathers. They don't know how to take control and take command. Now that's one point. I think it was Lakia Perry. She made an excellent point. But we have to think more objectively in order to build our families. We can't be all over the place getting our feelings like the women. Can't do that.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
can I say something real quick? With Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, when he died, he had an estate. He put in his will that none of his bastard kids that his son had got anything.
Mm.
So when it comes down to it, if you are in a mixed family, whatever they call it nowadays,
hold on. That's different though, brother, than saying he was taking care of some other man's children. You talk, those are his children. He decided what to do with his children. I'm asked. My question had nothing to do with that. My question is, if you take on another man's children, that's going to reduce the percentage of what your children are, or what your natural born children are getting, and that has to be dealt with. You can't go around that. And we talking like men. You can't try to dance around.
Hondo, I think what he's getting at is the fact that because his grandchildren were illegitimate, that they weren't doing anything, which is what you're speaking about.
And this is what I'm getting
at. My bad. That was my bad. I misunderstood.
Exactly. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it's up to me. Like, I have stepkids. It's up to me. Do I want to leave my stepkids anything or not? Fuck what my wife thinks. When it comes down to it, those are my kids.
But what about their father? But what about their father? So you mean their father has to give them something?
Let me talk. I've let you talk. Let me express myself. Okay. When it comes down to it, I have kids with my wife, and I also have my stepkids. My kids are going to get whatever I leave for them. My stepkids, if I choose to leave something for them, that's my choice. If I don't leave anything for them, they can just be mad because they have a father. I've chose to raise them to the age of 18, provide everything, which, I established as an adult to take care of them. Now,
and the question remains, why are two different men giving them provisions from their estate? And it's a serious question. I've asked 3 times, and most men don't want to deal with that.
I mean, if you let me finish, I can talk. But go ahead.
No, what Honda was asking was why does a child get the benefit from 2 different beneficiaries?
And that's what I was getting to,
Okay.
For the point being, as that man, he can establish whatever he wants for his kids or his stepkids. In the instant, with my kids and their father, that guy most likely is not going to do nothing for them. So if I don't do anything for them, they can't, look at me as, well, why you didn't do anything?
They have uncles, they have grandfathers, they might have brothers. There's other people connected. There's other people connected to their father who can take care of them. I mean, we have to. I mean, I literally haven't had that question answered yet the whole time. I'm talking about since we started. I've actually mentioned that 3-4 times. There's other people who can take care of these children. Like, it's not, we have to stop trying to be merciful to everybody. Like, mercy is when we can help, but if somebody else is bloodline connected, if they're not abusing those children, or if they're not doing anything crazy to them, then leave them with that man's family. What I'm telling you is that their father and or his family, his blood lineage, they take primacy over you, no matter what your feelings are. They take primacy over you, okay? Because it's bloodline. Remember, dynastics. It's about bloodline. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something?
Let me. I want to kind of hear what that brother was. He was saying. I think he was trying to go in a particular direction, and I didn't want to interject because I wanted him to finish his thought so I could get the totality of exactly what he was, what he's attempting to say. Brother, could you please? Can you please finish your thought, please, so I can know exactly what it is, which direction you were trying to move in, because I don't want to assume that you're saying something that you're not.
Is he still here?
He's gone. I don't even see his window anymore. He
Well,
dipped.
well, can I ask something? Can I ask something to Hondo? So when you say about the inheritance, when do you let that woman know? Like, okay, you're dealing with her and you got stepkids. When do you have that conversation to say, listen, my kids, if something
The day
happened
you
to
meet her.
me, the day you meet her, so you let her know up front that there's nothing going to
Yeah.
be, there's no pot of gold left for them. At the end of the day,
No,
it
and
all goes towards my kids, my
that's correct, sir.
biologicals.
That's correct, sir. And number one, that establishes that you actually are respecting her person. You don't want to you don't want to talk to her about that down the line, because then she's going to feel used. I don't believe in using women and things like that. I don't believe in that. I believe that we should be very upfront with women. See, here's the thing: when my parents divorced when I was 2, about a year later, she met a man who had a wife and 7 children. So I grew up in polygamy. Now I knew this. I knew my father. Okay. I knew my father, my whole patriarchal line, my grandfather. I was close with them. I got closer with my father as I got older. But the man my mom was with for most of my upbringing, and I went to college with one of his daughters. I never expected him to give me anything. I mean, he was very respectful. I mean, he took us out, stuff like that. But I never expected any estate from him. And nobody ever explained this to me. I knew it instinctively. I'm like, this man got a wife and children. I got my father. If I want things that only a father can give you, I could just call my father. Hey man, I'm gonna come see you. I'll be up there in about 30 minutes, because he lived over in Detroit. We lived outside Detroit. So if I wanted all the patriarchal stuff, I had other men that I could go to for that, and I knew that. But that's why it seems weird to me, like a lot of men just don't want to indulge in that fact that these children have other family members. They don't have to stay with with so-called stepfather. And I never considered the man my mom was with my stepfather. Never called him that. I called him Mr. Such and so out of respect. And he was always respectful toward me. Didn't see any abuse, none of that. His family, wife, and all his children treated me very well. Like I said, I was sprinting across my college campus one day. I didn't even see her. And she shouted out to me, and I barely recognized. I hadn't seen her in about 10 years. And she said, hey, what's up? And we caught up, but we remembered each other. And there was no animosity there. So what I'm saying is, like, keeping things grounded in reality, what it allows everybody to be toward each other. We can then form better bonds when we're listening. We can't just dive into stuff about, how we feel all the time. This is based on what's actually going on in real time. Okay. When it comes to so-called step, we have to get back to why is it always these excuses about why this woman can't give the children to the father. Most men are not in jail. Most black men are not in jail. Most black men have never been to jail. Most black men are not on drugs. Most black men are not child molesters. So now, since we're the ones who fit all dysfunctional categories, you still got to deal with 85 to 90% of the brothers who just want a decent woman. Okay, so all those things are excuses. Oh, well, he's controlling. That's very vague. Men are controlling, especially if we got wealth. We're very controlling. We're very mean, very strict. This is how we are. And so we can't approach this whole subject from any standpoint except objectivity, and then we go from there. So now that love, that emotionalism, it can flourish properly between our women and ourselves. So hey man, I've experienced the stuff that the brother was saying. I've already been in that situation as a child, and I treated it as it should be. I was like, this man ain't gonna leave me no money. He don't have to. I never had that conversation, and he never actually gave me cash either. I went out and I started making money when I was 8. I engaged in entrepreneurship when I was 8. I didn't expect that man to go give me no money, and I could go ask the men in my family to give me money if I wanted some. You see, so we can't think like that, because it'll skew the view of fatherhood, masculinity, and patriarchy if we allow children to see that and then see that as the norm. Single motherhood is a vestige of goddess worship. That kills men, and it kills male potential.
There's a lot of people that keep asking. Like I said before, all the information that we're given in terms of statistics is available. Only 2% of adult black men are incarcerated, have been incarcerated any time in this country's existence. essentially put about 2 to 4% of all the black men that have ever been born in the United States of America have been to prison. So the women that keep asking about what about the men in prison, you're telling us the type of men that you like to date, whether you believe it or not. Because if you weren't concerned about them, you wouldn't be asking about them. So stop that nonsense. Can it?
All that that's obfuscating the truth, just muddying the waters so that we can't, tell exactly what we're looking at. I'm glad you said that, brother, because most men have not been to prison. Okay, most black men have not been to prison. Okay, most black men are in the middle class. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. Most black men are in the middle class. That means they're making anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000 a year. So,
correct.
All these excuses as to why you can't give the man the custody of his children. That part of my expression, but that's just bullshit. Okay, it's just bullshit, and it exposes the level of greed, the level of treachery, the level of hatred for patriarchy and for manhood and masculinity that a lot of these women have. Right. And this is why we tell men don't deal with women who have children, because see, there's a lot of things behind what they're doing. It's not just, you don't just show up to a woman's life and she has kids and that's just what you see. No. There is a whole production that is behind that you don't see. Okay. There's a whole reason behind that you don't see. Okay. She's never going to tell you. You'll never see the production. Right. If you get to see it, it'll be later on at a glance, and you'll be like, man, I didn't know she was this type of woman. Yeah, she's that type of woman. Okay. I didn't know. Well, yeah, so we're trying to give men the heads up today, right now. Okay. See, you don't know that she got pregnant for the sake of sucking some child support out of a man. You don't know that. See, you think, he's just a bad dude. No, he's not a bad dude. That guy's not a bad dude. He just got caught up with a woman who has the intentions of a thief, of a criminal. But she's able to exploit that through the system that we have here, because the family courts and the family laws are backing women in their misuse and mistreatment of men. So we have to be smarter, and we have to be our brother's keeper. That's one of the reasons why I started the Say No Single Mothers group on Facebook. Now it's for black men only, and it's the group is growing in leaps and bounds. It's growing. Shouts out to our brother O'Shadu Jackson. He's definitely doing great work for us. He's promoting our group on his channel, and I really appreciate him for doing that. And we're growing. Because all men, black men, are starting to see what we're talking about. Now, you're going to have those naysayers, and you're going to have those, for lack of a better term, simps, who want to make it seem like it ain't the woman's fault. That's the female, Yeah, right. No, it is her fault. Okay. I believe in holding adults accountable for their decisions. And when it comes to reproduction in America, the person who has the last say, whoever has the final say, is the person that is responsible. That's just how it works. Who has the last say in pregnancy? Who has the last say in birth? Who has the last say in custody? Okay? We need to be honest with ourselves about this. We need to be honest. It's time for some honesty. And we're not seeing that. Well, a lot of men have been burned, and now they're finally coming over to our side, Brother Herb. Brother David, they coming to our side now. They want to know what's going on. Hey, man, what's this y'all talking about? Because, my baby mama, she broke up with me and took my kids from me. They're like, yeah, we've been talking about this for a while. But see, you were stuck in that mentality that women could do no wrong. As Brother Hondo said, that's that goddess worship. Black men, black society has a problem with woman worship. Okay? We worship the Queen of Heaven, as the Bible says. Okay? We worship the woman. We worship the goddess. And look at us. Look at us. We have to do something different if we expect something different. And so we are getting results by saying no to single mothers. I have, there is on the more legal side, there's some things I'm putting together for the legal aspect for men so that they can protect themselves from treacherous women, all right, and protect themselves from a predatory government, all right. I've got a couple of attorneys that I'm, kind of working with on this thing, and I'm hoping that I can be releasing it here soon. Look out for it. I'll come back to you soon, Brother Herb. Give you the my website, because I do have a website.
Yeah.
I actually have websites. I don't want to say them just yet because they are under production right now. So I don't want you to go there and be like, hey, man, that ain't nothing here. Yeah, because I'm building it. But I have secured the domain names, and I'm putting together these websites for men, not just black men, men in general, particularly men in America, so that we can arm and equip ourselves against those who want to see us fall. The inheritance that we leave our children, should not be infringed upon by anyone, especially the children of another man. That's just insane. Now, I'm all for giving gifts. If you want to give gifts to somebody's children, that's your business. It's your money and it's your business. So I can't, I can't stop you from that, and I'm not going to try to stop you from that. But I have to wonder why any man in his right mind would make another man's children equally competitive with his own children. That just doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to make another man's children equally competitive with my children. Why would I do that? And that's what you're doing when you're dealing with a single mother. You are, matter of fact, you're actually helping her children become more competitive than your children, because her children has 2 sources or 3 sources of resources coming in from, 2 in the sense of a father, from you and their biological father, while your children only have 1 source coming in. Okay, so that we have to really start thinking about this thing a lot differently. And it's not fair to our own children to deprive them of the resources that they could very well have. But listen, the hour's getting late, brothers. I got to lay it down because I got to get up and go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, no, man. I appreciate you, brothers, man, coming through like you did, man. Because this has been brewing a long time, and David and I, we're always, we're generally on the panel. We're outnumbered by the women, probably 4-2. So I just, like I tell people, they think it was just me that had this position. What I told them is this: you mentioned, say Duke Jackson. There's Kevin Samuels, and Kevin Samuels, by all definitions, is a high value man, and he speaks about this on his show. And I tell the women, I said, there's thousands of hours of this type of conversation happening between men. There's Rollo Tomasi who speaks on this stuff. I mean, there's countless people who talk about this. This is not just us. But in order to see that, you have to step out of the shell that you're in and avail yourselves of it. So, brothers, I can't say how grateful I am for you brothers picking up this mantle, man, and assembling tonight. And hey, make sure we all connect with each other, so we can stay abreast of what we have going on.
Definitely. And next time you gentlemen do this, if you want to have me back, I'd be more than honored to come back. Thank you so much, Brother David. Thank you for having me.
Yada Yahoo.
Yes, sir.
Brother Yada.
Yeah, this Ned Clemens. I came over because of you. How you doing, Yada Yahoo?
Who's this?
Ned Clemens in your
Oh, hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Yeah. I just wanted to share a couple of stories and jump out.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember. I'm 40. I'm sorry. How you doing, fellas? Good evening to everyone.
How you doing?
Good evening.
Hey.
I'm good. Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. I just want to share a couple of stories and I'll jump out. I'm 45 years old.
Okay.
And I remember.
Young man.
I remember about I was 19 years old and home from college, and me and my friends, we went to this arcade we normally go to, back in the arcade days. Yeah. I met this lady there. She was a young lady. She was 17 with 3 children.
Damn.
I was 19. She was 17 with 3 children. Now, mind you, this is all the way back in 1998. I believe. Yeah. No. I'm wrong. I take that back. It was earlier than that. It was before 98. This girl had 3 kids and was 17. She gave me her phone number. I never called her. I'm 19 now, fellas. I'm 19. I went,
Right.
oh my God, how are you 17 with 3 kids, sweetheart? Come on. How do you do this?
Right.
It's like impossible. I've met women here where I live at. I met this one girl. She was my type. She was short, had big breasts, big butt, whatever. And I met her online, and she told me she had 3 kids. And I didn't care. You know, this is my blue pill, younger days, didn't know too much. I went and picked the lady up, and we kicked her whatever we did. The next time I went to pick her up, I asked her, I noticed, I'm like, wait a minute. You always just come out of your house. You never invite me in. And she goes, well, you know, my house isn't good for company and all that. I'm like, well, I've never seen kids either. She's like, oh, my grandma has my kids. Whoa. And she got 3 kids now, y'all. 3 kids, my age. I think I was about 29 at this point. This girl was a couple of years younger than me, about 3-4 years younger than me. She had 3 kids and didn't have possession of them, which is the reason why she was always available. Yeah. I know. Now, mind you, all of these women I'm bringing up, I never got into a relationship with. Even before this campaign against single mothers, I never really entertained most women that were single mothers that did certain things. Like, you don't have possession of your kids. That's one right there. If you have your children and you do not have possession of them, you can pass them off to your mother, your grandmother, whoever. No. And then these are the same women running around Facebook calling men, black men, deadbeats.
Right.
And yet, even though you might not see it, if some of you brothers have probably ran into this also. Probably ran into a woman that didn't have her kids and she made up some BS excuse why she didn't have them. No, there's no excuse.
Right.
And I ran into, this is the last story I'm going to give you. Y'all going to really crap up. This was back in 2011, 10 years ago. I met another girl online. Funny how these women are always online. I met this girl online, and she lived like an hour away from me. And she said she wanted to come see me. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing nothing tonight. I'm off this weekend. Come on. She came with her friend who was a white girl. She didn't tell me until she got to my house after we talked over the phone 3 times over the course of a week. This girl told me, and I quote, and I'm not lying, this woman had 9 kids.
Damn.
And she was 35 years old. Me and her were the exact same age. She had 9 kids. I BS y'all not. 9 kids by 7 different men, I think she said.
Damn.
6 or 7. I went, oh my God. I actually turned down the sex, fellas. I turned it down.
Bro, you gotta leave them to the Ravens, bro.
Good for you.
That- that's-
Good for
that's-
you. Good for you, Ned.
Man.
Real.
Good for you.
God. See, y'all understand. See, y'all probably understand that. Do you understand where I live at, and probably in your cities too, respectively? You don't understand how many women I ran into that have kids.
Oh, I understand.
By certain men.
I understand.
But, hear me out though. Feel me though, fam. But they not getting child support from these men. They not getting child support from these men. Now, mind you, if you my age, you're a little older. What would they always talk back in the day? You gotta have some money, you gotta have a job, you gotta be doing this, you gotta be doing that. Oh, you're gonna pay the child support if you get me pregnant, right?
Right.
Half of the black women I ran into that single mothers, guess what? Damn near half, guess what? They had kids by men who couldn't pay their child support. More than likely, street dudes, drug dealers, you know, have to file taxes off it. selling crack and cocaine at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. You can't do that. It's illegal, I'm quite sure. So
Actually, you can, but
somebody,
that's another discussion.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. Wow. But yeah, like I'm saying, I ran into some women that they had kids by these men and either couldn't or didn't put them on child support. But now all of a sudden you want me to date you? You want me to take you out on dates and spend money and not get sex?
Right. Right.
You're hilarious, lady. No, And my thing is this: you cannot talk that crap if you got kids and you not even doing what you said you would want to do to us, and get child support out of our pockets when we reproduce with you. See what they're really looking for, fellas, is as a re-up baby. They want to get pregnant by men like us so they can have that re-up child support.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Nev, you saw that post I put up yesterday about who's that Superhead? Last year at 41 years old, Superhead getting pregnant. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who's getting Superhead pregnant?
And you know what the funny thing about that is that the women in their 30s are now the leading demographic of single mothers. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, I got something for y'all. I got a lady friend here where I live at. She just turned 47 last week, and she has a 3-year-old.
Wow.
So 47 minus 3 is 44.
Right.
Leave her to the ravens out in the wilderness. Okay. With the wild beasts of the land, bro.
Okay.
Those
brothers, I gotta bounce. I gotta start to get ready for work. But let me just get Hondo. I know you. It's Gavin Sinclair. How you doing, brother Hondo? Finally got a chance to see
brother.
you.
Yeah,
brother,
man.
I
Hondo, I remember you, Hondo. What up, Hondo?
Hey, brother Yada Ben Israel. Finally got a chance to speak to you. Gavin Sinclair.
Yes,
how you doing?
How you doing, brother?
Yes.
Good to hear your voice.
All right. Thank you. Brother who just joined, what is your name?
King D.
Oh, that's King D. King D.
King D.
What's up, King
Right.
D?
I didn't know that was you, man.
Yeah,
King D, you're in Canada. I gotta hit you up if you don't mind. I want to friend you, or or get your information. We could exchange information because it's good to talk to brother from Canada. I want to just chop it up with you some more. And to the last brother who just joined, about the woman that's 47 that just had a kid or 3-year-old. What's your name?
Nev Clemenger on Facebook.
Pleased to meet you, sir. I'm Gavin Sinclair. Brother Herb knows you well. Hondo, we've been knowing each other as Facebook friends, but we haven't a chance to see each other face to face. I got to bounce, gentlemen. It's been great. I got to get going to work, but thank you so much, and I look forward for more conversations like this. With that, peace and blessings. I'm out.
Peace,
all right, take care.
Have a good one, big dog.
I do have to depart. I got to get ready I got an early start tomorrow.
Make that paper, man.
Yeah, I'm on East Coast time, man. So it's 11. It's 11 p.m. tonight here, man. So I got an early rise in the morning. So let me get on my thing, get on my grind. Peace to you, brothers. Thank you for inviting me, brother David. Thank you for letting me sit in on this platform, brother Herb. Thank you for bringing me out.
Man, like I said, man, much appreciated, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Hey, Master Yada, before you go, I gotta tell everybody you are the one who wrote the foreword to my book called The Polygamous Papers. So
yes, sir.
I always appreciate you for that. That brother's gonna do some big things, you know what I'm saying, when his books come out. Of course, I got the inside scoop on his works coming up. So Master Yada, we look forward to that.
Hey, you told him about the Polygamous Papers, right? You coming out with volume 2.
I did not. I did not. I am the author of a book called The Polygamous Papers. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm the author of The Polygamous Papers, an introduction to polygamous culture and its principles, pitfalls, and ethics. It's got 90 reviews at Amazon.com. It's rated 4.7 out of 5 stars. It's doing great. I've got 4 more volumes coming on polygamy. Then I have a book on tourism, and I also have a travel almanac that I'm creating. So, writing is my thing. So the second book is called The Legacy Papers. That's or Polygamy as Economic Warfare. That's going to be a 500-page book on how to engage in mate selection. It's going to talk about how to build brotherhood. It's going to talk about, of course, polygamy, how the women should choose, what type of man or woman should choose, what type of women or man should choose, It's gonna talk about the rearing of children. We going into all that stuff. So y'all watch out for that. That's coming in a few months. Hey, we all about that around here. So
That's right. That's right.
I appreciate
So,
y'all for having me on too, brother Herbert. But Dave, I appreciate y'all very, very much.
All right, man.
That's
We appreciate it.
and
Thanks,
I'm still
brother, for
here.
joining us.
I just want to thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
yeah,
thanks for having
y'all,
me.
man. You have a good night.
Hey, same to y'all. Y'all be safe. Peace.
All right, be
For
good.
sure.
Yes. All right.
Excuse me, gentleman. The man with the the gentleman with the white hat on. What's your name, sir?
My name is Herbert.
Herbert. Okay.
That's yeah. I'm Herb King D.
Yeah. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Do you have a YouTube channel?
No, Dave. I'm on David's YouTube channel. I haven't started my own yet. In due time, I want to.
Okay.
We can concentrate on the one first, and then I'll branch out and get my own started. I have some material that I'm working on, so I'll be straight. I want to work on this platform first.
Okay, I thought you were someone else. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, fellas, I'm gonna jump out. I just wanted to share my little stories with you. If I have any more, and I do, I just have to think of them. I'll bring them to you.
Thanks for sharing, brother.
All right, y'all have a good one.
All right, you
All
too.
right, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Hey man, that was fire, man. That was a good show, man. I enjoyed that. And brother, what's your name again? In the white shirt.
King D.
Oh, you're King. I'm sorry. I must have missed the. I must have missed
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you and the other brother were.
Sorry, I have the shades on because I had eye surgery on Monday, so that's the reason why I'm wearing the shades.
Hey man.
Oh no, man. Hey, it's cool. Look, man. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got the
I dig
Lokes on. You got the Lokes on. It's cool, bro. Hey, do your thing, man. Nah, but I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was good. I thought it was good that men actually we hash these things out because that's how it's done, man. That's how it's done. We gotta be on top of things. You know what I'm saying, and have these conversations and look at what's really going on, and then go from there.
Yeah,
Very
I agree.
exciting times.
I agree.
The one thing I noticed.
All right, anybody?
Sorry.
Yeah, King D was about to say something.
I was saying the one thing I noticed that there's a real need, like how you wrote the book, The Polygamous Papers, right? There's a real need for that kind of education since a lot of people. Well, what I think an issue too is a lot of people are just really broken dysfunctionally, and there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. Right. So
yeah.
But I think somebody was saying to me the other day that maybe we need to just focus on the children more because it seems like maybe it's already, when somebody says it's too late not too late for them, for the women, but just even trying to convince them otherwise, maybe we should just focus on programs for the children and stuff like that.
But I often speak on that when we say focus on the programs for the children. But the thing is, the children still have to go back into these dysfunctional homes. So how does that change anything when you constantly getting different messages? Every day kids are getting different messages. They get messages from school. They get messages from outside in their community, in the hood. Then they get messages inside their home. So it's a lot of different things going through kids' minds. So
we definitely
I don't know the proper thing.
Yeah, we definitely got our work cut out for us there.
Yeah, we do. We actually do.
Yeah, it's kids like David said, they're bombarded from so many different aspects in terms of what they should do, who they should talk to, how they should behave. And I think we have to get to a point where we simplify things for them. So the concepts that they are capable of grasping, they can grasp and build with them. Because as long as we keep sending them so many different messages, they're never going to be able to focus on a specific message and then take that message and use it to grow and develop into sentient people. And that's what we want. Above all, we want the kids to be able to function as adults, particularly in their younger years. We want them to be able to make solid decisions so they end up better than what we were, particularly at their age.
And we have talked about before, like when a matron or somebody significant dies in our family, uh, who used to get that message and their word was bond, and when they pass away, a lot of times in our community, no one's really stepping up to take up that role.
Yeah.
Not all, but in most cases, people just then we kind of branch off and everybody just do their own individualized things with their family, but it's no big overall message. Where when we grew up, our grandmother, grandfather, great grandfathers, they delivered a message, and it was kind of bond, and we stuck with it. But nowadays, it's everybody just scattered and they just do their own thing. That's just my take.
Mhm. Good. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
You ready to wrap it
And
up,
plus, we
Dave?
need elders. We never even mentioned in the show the importance of having elders to teach us. I mean,
Yeah.
thankfully, I got I got several. I mean, they're up in age now, but their insight is valuable because when we have issues, sometimes they can shine a little light on how we're supposed to conduct ourselves as men. You know what I'm saying? So it helps, and we
What
need
is
that.
what is your guys' thoughts on that documentary, the Red Pill?
I haven't seen it
I,
yet.
yeah, I
Where
haven't
can we
seen it
get that?
either.
I haven't seen it.
Where
I think
where
I
can we
would
get
suggest.
that, Candy?
I think it's on Amazon Prime. That's where I seen it. The video.
Okay.
Oh, it is there. You're right. Yeah. I gotta check that out, man. If it's recommended, if you recommended it, then I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna
I
peep that.
recommend it, and it talks about it more from a man's perspective with
Okay.
the war on men, and it'll definitely change your or add to what you know already. I would say if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I
Hmm.
gotta. I'll check it out in the next few days. I'll let you know what I think about it. I'll hit you up.
Yeah, it talks about how technically society as the patriarchy. Uh, we are the men that are on the front lines, and they debunk the workplace gap between the women and the men.
Hmm.
We're actually out there. We have the most deaths compared to women in the same trade. They showed like maybe even like 60,000 deaths for uh, an iron worker, and only like literally one woman. So they talk about even about what's going on with the laws as well in the civil court with the parental alienation and all those kind of things. So it really made me look at it differently as well. The system, and what I gathered from that is that the system is rigged against us, and the only way to even keep ourselves safe from losing what we have or even children being abducted is to not even play it. That's what I
Yeah.
gathered from
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out as well.
that. Yeah, so I would suggest that from just even a man, from the perspective of a man. So it's just like there's a war on men and children altogether is really what it is.
But yeah, Herb, we can get ready to close this out because like the rest of the fellas, I got work too.
It's getting
Whatever
late. Yeah.
that virtual stuff has came to an end. Whatever, it's back time to enter the school building on a regular
Man,
schedule.
Hondo, man, Hondo and King Team, man, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Tonight, man, give me input. Everybody else that joined the panel and everybody else that was in the chat, and they
Good learning.
commented. We try and get to everybody's as much as possible. Ladies, like I said, I'm in the process of assembling an all-female panel so you guys can sit in and have this type of discussion amongst yourselves. So stay tuned. I'm already reaching out to people, across different stripes. I've already got 2 that are probably committed. I'm looking to get a couple more, and we're gonna have single mothers, we're gonna have women that are against, and we're gonna let you guys hash it out, just like we did tonight. And and it's not to prove right or wrong, it's to get the opinions and views out there so we know where we stand. Because like I always say, and I close out the show, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right, and I'm gonna close it out with saying like it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff these brothers was kicking. I never really thought about it deeply because usually your beliefs is within your family, religion, your community. So when they touched on a point, I think Hondo, when he touched on the point about inheritance and stuff like that, that's something to really think about. Like, it is whatever about, I guess building a legacy and things for your children, but yet and still when
Yep.
you're in relationships with others, how do you have these conversations? And I don't think many of us talk about that. And that's why you see these crazy things that people be murdering people and stuff like, okay, this person's not going to get this or they're not going to get that. So it's just something to think about. So while I was on this panel, I was just soaking stuff in. Originally, I wasn't even going to show my face. I was just going to be in the studio just posting the comments, but I showed my face and came on, and I'm like, man, it's great to hear different perspectives, good, bad, or indifferent. So we just got to keep growing. And people might say, well, I don't agree totally with anything the panel said, but it was some value to it or something to make you think about it. And that's the key thing. Start thinking critically and realize your perspective is not the only perspective. There's a whole nother world out there with people with different thoughts. So I appreciate you brothers coming on and sharing your wisdom and your experiences. And trust me, it has me thinking and it has my wheels spinning now. So with that said, we're going to close it out, and I look forward to the female panel and you guys joining again, and let's just keep building. Let's just keep growing.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, man. Y'all be safe, man. Hey, Hondo, man. Be safe out there on them roads, man.
Blessings.
Yes,
You
sir.
too,
I
King
will.
D, man. Y'all take care.
All right. Blessings.
All right,
All right,
fellas.
fellas. Peace.
Good night.
Good night.